There we go. So let's see if we are live. I think this is on right now. So it seems like there are a couple of people that has already joined, which is really, really good. I see that the number of attendees keeps on growing. So to start off with, I want to welcome you to the webinar today. We are probably going to spend an hour to 90 minutes, depending on how many questions you guys have, and also how in-depth we decide to go into certain things throughout this webinar. So what we're going to do is that we're going to stick around here for a couple of minutes to let people be able to join and get in, get settled, maybe grab a bottle of water, maybe grab some notes, stuff like that, so that everyone is settled before we dive into it. But one thing that I want to give information about is down below, you will have a button that says Q&A. We will, at the very end, go through any and all questions that is within the Q&A that you guys have submitted. So anything that you guys are curious about, you can just dump it there. We might address a couple of those questions throughout the session, but primarily we're going to go through that at the very end. So if you have any questions, at the very bottom, you should see a Q&A. Click that, submit your questions there. We might also ask you guys to, let's say, type something into the chat. That is something where I actually want to just double check. Do you guys see chat or is that disabled? If it's disabled, if one of you guys can just add that as a questionnaire, I'm going to just see that, take that as a, okay, it's not enabled. So we're going to look at how to enable that throughout the session. But yeah. So it seems like we have even more people having joined. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to start. Yeah, chat is disabled. So thank you, Jay, for saying that. What we're going to do is that we're then going to look at how to enable that throughout the session. So to get to it, there's one thing I want to start with, and that is 99% of companies struggle with two things happening at the same time. And that's usually one of the reasons why they have a bit of a struggle with doing their marketing and getting that to really work, feeling that they cracked the code. And I actually like to call them the symptom of doom. And we have two of them. So the first thing is the hamster wheel of marketing. A lot of companies, founders, marketers, they're stuck on this hamster wheel of marketing, where if they stop doing things, they feel like the entire world is going to crash and everything is going to crash and burn. So that's the first symptom of doom that we're going to address in this session. The second symptom of doom that we are going to address is building on shaky ground. So there's so many marketing strategies out there that are, let's say, populating, getting traction, people are talking about them, it's all the hype. But if you don't build on solid foundation, you're a bit like this illustration. You have all of your marketing hacks at the top of it, but then you have one teeny tiny pillar that everything relies on. And the thing is, if you combine being stuck on the hamster wheel of marketing and building a shaky ground, it's very easy to end up being frustrated because what you keep on doing isn't materializing into anything and it doesn't work. So what ends up happening is that you work your ass off, you generate leads, and you get clients. You work as much as you can to do that, but nothing or absolutely nothing ends up working. So this is what we're going to go into in this webinar, and we're going to reveal the strategies that I've been building and really learning about and tweaking and tuning and optimizing since I started doing this back in 2011. And since then, a lot of things have changed. A lot of things have evolved. In 2022, ChatGPT got released. We're going to address that as well in terms of how you should adopt with AI so that you're not left behind. I have a bit of a bold promise in this session as well, and that is by the end of the webinar, you will have a one-person marketing system that to build what we call forever assets that can generate demand based on your expertise in the months to come, in the years to come, so that you can have something that is a solid foundation and you can exit the hamster wheel of marketing. And the thing is, you set this up once and you just let it run. So we're going to go into that so that you can really feel like this. Like you can feel that you are really in control and you can sleep like a baby at night. That is what I want you to get to. Not feel like this. So that you try to strangle the marketing strategy and the marketing that you're doing that is not working or performing. So there will be a bonus at the end for you guys sticking around in terms of a unique opportunity for you guys. And we will also go through plenty of systems throughout this session. We're going to share some systems, go through demo some systems and strategies and how to do things, but we will share a lot of different, or go through certain things that require prompts. Given the essence of time that we have today, we're not going to go through every single prompt, but that is why we have created a pack that you can request and get access to. So throughout the webinar, we're going to share a couple of things in the chat, so links that you guys can click and sign up to get those things that we go through in the webinar after the webinar has ended, so that you guys just take a note of that. And also, as mentioned, maybe I'm covering, but down below you will see a Q&A and chat. The Q&A, if you have questions, we're going to cover those at the end. So if you have any questions, that could be prospecting, lead generation, creating content, posting on LinkedIn, ads, emails, building your offer, whatever it is, you can dump it in the Q&A and we're going to get to that at the end. And I might spend some time throughout the webinar as well to address a couple of them. So with that, I think we have our housekeeping done. But yes, I'm going to share this with you guys. And that is basically the links that you guys want to have for the event. So I'm going to share one link with you guys in the chat now that you guys can use to sign up for the bonus that you can get. The bonus then includes what we call the ICP mapper, the audience researcher, the offer memo, but we're adding in two new ones. One is a pillar mapper, and then you have lead magnet ideator. So basically, these are 5 of the prompt systems and tools that we're going to use in the webinar today. If you click on this link, sign up, you're going to get that after the event is over, so that you guys have that. But stick with us. And yes, I also saw there was a question regarding recording. There will be a recording made for this, and we're going to send this to you guys that have showed up after the event. The sending out of that is probably going to happen tomorrow because we're going to save it, maybe do some edits, upload it, and then send it to you guys. So with that, let's get to it. So the core thing, what we're going to cover today is what we call the 3 truths. These are what shape everything. These are what shape your marketing. It's what's shaping your lack of performance of our marketing and what we've seen after I've talked to hundreds upon hundreds of companies. And the first thing is you must know that you need something that is repeatable and something that runs by itself. Because if you're stuck doing things every single day just to make things go around, you're never going to escape that dependency on you. The next thing, and the second truth that we're going to go more into, is you need to turn your expertise to demand. And Lindsay is going to go way more into that because I'm having Lindsay with our team, the growth strategist in Bureau with me today. And she's going to go way more into both truth number 1 and truth number 2 and how these things play out. And then the third truth is you need to automate the process of creating assets. And assets is really what makes you build a marketing system as maybe a one-man show or a one-woman show or one-person company or one-person marketing team to make that compound. So we're going to go way more into these things individually. And Lindsay is going to take you through number 1 and 2, and I'm going to go through number 3 and show you a bit over the shoulder of actually building this out with you. So a short introduction to each of us before we dive in. So my name is Harald Rønne. I'm the CEO and founder of Bureau Ventures, and I've really been a founder building businesses since I was 16. It started a couple of years prior to that in terms of development, building websites and servers, but that's when I got into it. And the past 15 years, I've been diving into anything and everything under the topic of digital growth, digital marketing, digital sales, digital content, everything. And I've helped hundreds of companies at this point. I think the total accrued pipeline and revenue generated for clients that I work with is in the high eight, or maybe even low nine figures. And there's a lot of things that have changed. And things that worked 10 years ago doesn't work today. Things that did work 5 years ago has also changed, especially now with AI. And I believe that we were one of the first ones to really run outbound in an automatic way on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn has changed a lot as well. And internally, we quote unquote coin my own persona as the mad scientist because I love building things. And you're going to see that throughout this webinar as well. But with that, I'm going to give Lindsay the honor of introducing herself and then taking it on from there.
Yeah, thanks, Harold. As Harold said, I'm Lindsay Ju, the growth strategist here at Burrow Ventures, and I have been in marketing and sales for 20 years, which just means that I have seen a lot of different tactics, strategies, you name it, to yeah, things that happen, things that can work, and things that don't necessarily work as effective. But what we're here to share with you all today is meant to last the test of time. It is built to last. So it's not just a trend or a marketing tactic that's going to expire, but something that is going to help you long term. A little bit about me. I have worked in fintech, SaaS, tech with hedge funds from Silicon Valley to Seoul, Korea. And I love learning. So if you are in a meeting with me, you'll find that I like to ask a lot of questions because I am curious to learn more about you and how I can help you be successful. So let's dive into the first truth. You're here because you want to know where to start building your marketing. And in order to do that, there's a few principles that you need to understand. And one is that if you want to build something, you need to build it to last. And how you do that is you start by building something that can be repeated and something that can run self-sufficiently. So I would love to share a story of a lone marketer. And spoiler alert, this was me 18 years ago when I started my career. So yeah, lone marketer, aka me 18 years ago. I was at a firm, a consulting firm that had been in business for 50 years. And truthfully, they wouldn't have been in business that long, operating off business cards and print brochures if they hadn't been acquired by a Fortune 100 company. So when I joined, they decide that it's time to start scaling and growing in the internet age and not just relying on referrals, word of mouth, and print brochures to hand out face to face. So what did I do? I was tasked with building a system, figuring it all out. And that meant like, okay, let me try blogs here. Let me try to optimize the website with SEO here. Let me email the 3,000 contacts that we have in our database. And that ended up just being a lot of pieces, but they didn't necessarily all fit together. And what I found was happening is I would start and things would go really well. And then we would be busy with clients. I would step in to help with the delivery and sort of the process. And then, oh, I need to get started again. And the marketing is just putting me on this endless hamster wheel. Do we have the chat working now, Harold? Can people
Yes.
chime in? Okay.
The chat is available to you guys if we ask you questions. I would love to hear from you in the chat. So that should be available to everyone now.
Okay. If you guys can relate to this hamster wheel, type one in the chat. I would love to know if this is a problem that you've experienced working as a marketer, or perhaps a lone wolf? Yes.
Or
Okay. Greg, Philip, Christine. Yes, I have seen that people relate to that. Adrian, thank you. It's good to have your feedback and know that I wasn't the only one experiencing this issue, right? And this hamster wheel. And the problem is because I was so busy, I didn't have time to, get my head out of the ground. I just thought, okay, I know I have a problem or I have a fire. Let me just pour more fuel onto the fire. And that's the definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. But, when you're the only one who's doing the marketing, you just try to continue on. And that was the issue of what I faced and what I ran into time and time again. How you get out of this hamster wheel is to just create a system that's repeatable, create something that's scalable and can run itself. So this is what Bureau recommends. I'm going to show you a chart that we recommend to our own clients. And this is what I would also recommend to you, everybody who's on today's webinar, of what to set up in order to get it to repeat. So let me just switch tabs. Bear with me 1 second while I switch tabs here. Okay. So this is our flow chart. And I know that you can't read the teeny tiny text. So I'm just going to use my marker to explain what we have here. We have the start, which is outbound and inbound marketing. And then you have your goal line, right? Of where you want them to come through and have a discussion or have a sales discussion, right? That's your goal line. So you have your start and you have your finish. And in between that, you have your marketing infrastructure and the system that's going to run. So with outbound, people are coming into through prospecting. And this is where we recommend setting up your ICP, your target audience, and really going after them with outreach from LinkedIn and then offering them value so that you can pull them into your automated system, pull them further into your database, and they could begin to get to know you. Okay. So you can bring them in through outreach, outbound. And we also recommend bringing them in through posting on LinkedIn, right? Being a subject matter expert. They're coming to your post, they're seeing you. Comment too if you guys saw, let's say, this webinar, for example. This is something that maybe you saw a post about. You guys came in and then you're coming into the system and you're receiving that value, receiving that resource. Okay. Yep. Christian, Philip, Greg, too. Thank you for letting me know. I'm glad that you found that. And so then the idea is you're offering a resource. We're here to teach you how to set up your marketing infrastructure to last. Similarly, you will teach your clients how to solve an issue, a resource, and then you're continuing to do that through your additional offers. And then eventually they're going to raise their hand and they're going to convert over to consuming your resource, watching a video perhaps, or just going straight to booking from the resource. Right? That's the idea. That's the system that we recommend that you have in place to get it to run by itself. You see this wheel just keeps turning and then it turns into booked meetings. And we're going to dive into that a bit more and then what happens at the next phase as well. So once you have that system in place, the steps, the outbound, the inbound, the lead nurturing wheel, and then plugging out from the lead nurturing wheel to booking calls, what you do at this point then is you just make sure that people are continuing to come to you. So you're posting on LinkedIn, you're reaching out outbound, so doing connection requests to your ICP, and then also making sure that they're coming to you organically. That could be to your website, that could be to your blog, that could be through emails, but they're coming back again and again. Okay, so you're filling up that lead bucket. The second thing that you need to continue to focus on is making sure that those are percolating up to inbound meetings and calls and taking those calls. And then the third is following up with those that are warm and hot leads so that you're making sure that they're bubbling up, you're reaching out, you're calling them, and you're understanding what it is that their issues are and how you can help them solve that. That's how you continue to have that system run and be successful. And what it's going to do is it's just going to compound over time. It's going to snowball so that you can focus on doing what you do best, which is running your business and doing client fulfillment. The second truth, okay, so you understand a system needs to be in place. You're saying, Lindsay, how do we draw them into the system? I'm an expert in a field, okay, right? Like this loan marketer that I talked about earlier. The business had been around 50 years. They were by far experts in their field, but they noticed people were knocking down the door. What you need to do is you need to turn that expertise of yours into demand. If you don't do it, someone else will. Okay. Don't let that be your competitors. Talk about yourself, talk about your knowledge, share that information with your leads and your prospects so that they're coming to you because they're seeking out truth or seeking out information, whether they find that from you or their competition. That's what's going to happen. So don't be quiet on your expertise and how you can help solve people's problems. Share that with people so that they can get to know you, they can have interest and become a client. Okay, here we're drawing it out a little bit for you. You have your expertise. From there, this is your area, your know-how. Break that up into content pillars or different topics. These topics are going to directly address your client's problems, and they're going to consume this content, whether it's a guide, a video, a webinar like today, and that is going to build upon their interest, draw them in further to your pipeline. They're going to download, they're going to comment for these resources, and that's going to lead them into your pipeline to eventually become a client. And you're saying, okay, yes, the content, how do I create this content? How do I draw them in? You can do it by hand. AI is here to help. And there is something that is very important that I want to emphasize to all of you so that you don't produce AI slop. Context. Okay. Content used to be king. That was when people were writing it by hand on a piece of paper. Okay. That's no longer the case. People have AI, they can produce mass amounts of content. So now context is king. Okay. You need that to produce high quality content and show your clients, show your leads value. You do that through defining your ICP. We have free tools that can help you do this. Define your ICP, target them, speak to their needs, and those needs and those problems that they have are going to be part of your offer memo. The next truth, I'm going to hand the mic back over to Harold, and he is going to walk you through that.
Let's get to it. So one thing I just wanted to share with you guys before I dive into this is, so the three things that Lindsay mentioned in the very last slide before we go now into truth number 3 in terms of the ICP mapper and giving context. Yeah, what's on the screen here now. I'm sending a link again to that in the chat. And if you guys want these things plus the 2 other ones after this webinar, you can get those things. And they will automatically be sent to you guys in about 1 hour and 20 minutes from now. So depending on where you are in the world, for us in Central Europe, it's going to be 4:45. But if you guys are chiming in from different places around the world, the time, of course, is going to be different. But if you want this, there's a link to that in the chat. Now, truth number 3 is a bit of an interesting one because you now learned that you need something that runs by itself You need also the user expertise to turn that into demand. And now the question is, what is it that you need to create? And you need to automate the creation of assets. As Lindsay briefly mentioned, one thing that is happening now is that a lot of people are flooding the web with content. The question is, how do you create content that is not AI slop? And that is context, as we went into. And context and the core process of deriving things from context is that you start with something about you. It's your ICP. And you find your ICP to be obvious, but there are things that for AI to be able to do something with it, you need to give it proper in-depth context. Just going to ChatGPT and asking, give me a brief about my ICP, that is not going to cut it. You need to have multiple layers of it. But that's one. The next is you need your offer. What is it that you do? And all of the things that are intricate to your company, your offer, your market, what you do, and also you. Because you have a way of doing things. You have a way of addressing things. You have a particular taste. You have a different form than a lot of other people. And that is where context comes in. With the context, as mentioned and also shown in the previous slide, you define your pillars. These are content topics, themes, and areas that you anchor things to. And what I tell clients when we work with clients on this is they think that content should be their product. Okay, this is my product. This is how good we are. This is what it's going to do for you. Those types of things. However, if you have only that type of content, people will start getting sick and tired of what you promote because it's just self-promotion. So you want to have a bit of a different thing. The case here is that a pillar is derived from the job to be done by your product, service, or offer. So if you do something that is systemizing, or if you're delivering AI automation, if you're delivering some sort of tech and SaaS, the thing here is that that tech, that product, or that service, it addresses a pain and it does a particular job. So you want to derive your content topics and pillars, as we name them, based on those jobs to be done. Under a pillar is where you have your resources. So you can have resource number 1, resource number 2, and so on. There's really no right or wrong way of making a resource. And a resource, this webinar is one such resource. And the pillar is marketing for founders. So there are different ways of playing around it. I want to, again, just ask the question that Lindsay asked a bit earlier, which is comment 3 in the chat if you've consumed a piece of resource, a guide, a prompt, something from myself or Bureau before that you found value in. So just comment that in the chat because I want to see how many of you guys have just consumed something. I see Gaurav, Christian, Rebecca, Will. So there are Greg, Dorok. There's a lot of you guys. Oh, Ashim, Shoki. I hope I don't slaughter your name. Mark, Ranesh, and so on. So there's a lot of you guys that have done so. A couple of you said not yet, but will soon. The essence is a resource can come in many shapes and forms. It could be a written guide. It could be a webinar like this. It could be a prompt. It could be a tool. But you need to have a resource. And when you have a resource, there's a layer underneath it. And that is the promotional material for that resource. You have your posts. That could be posts for LinkedIn. Could be posts for Facebook for that sake. Instagram, TikTok. It could be posts for promoting that thing. You've probably seen those posts, particularly on LinkedIn, that goes something like this. I've created X. It's going to help you with Y. Comment said, and I'm going to send it to you on DM. The reason why that is working so well on LinkedIn is because it's going to go gaming the algorithm in the sense that every social media platform algorithm is built to keep you on the platform. Because if the longer the algorithm keeps you on the platform, the more ads you can be served. And the more ads you get served, the more money the platform makes. So if you keep them on the platform, that helps. How do we do something that tells the algorithm that someone is going to be staying on the platform. If someone engaged with your post, if they like it, if they comment, if they repost, if you send them a DM, if they respond to your DM, those things keep the other party on the platform, meaning the algorithm will boost that type of content because then more people would stay on the platform. Hopefully you followed through the entire reasoning. That's why the post of lead magnets on LinkedIn is performing as well. And that is why we have a post to promote the resource in the first place. Now, everyone that is coming into your ecosystem, your universe, so you generate the lead and you have the flywheel on the retargeting that Lindsay talked about, you have your emails. So every email you send ultimately at some level to your marketing and the leads that you have should link them to the resource. Because what ends up happening then is that you keep on sharing value. So you build a reciprocity, you build goodwill, you build trust, you show off your credibility, and that is going to compound over time. Now, you also want to show them some ads. So when someone enters your ecosystem and your universe, you want to keep on showing up. So you want to stay top of mind. That is why you have an ad. There are two ways of running the ads. You have the ad that just say, hey, we created this resource, here it is. That's what you run to your existing leads. Those that are new is if you post a lot of resources on LinkedIn, you will see which one performs well. Then you can cherry pick those that are the best performers and start running lead generation ads on LinkedIn, on Meta. That is an ad to an opt-in or registration page, and then they get the resource. So this, you can derive so many different things from just a simple map of you have your context, you define your pillars, you create resources and promotional material under it. And this is an example of how I can use it for outbound. So if you have your resources, so if you reach out on LinkedIn, there are really three ways you can do outbound on LinkedIn. The first one is you can do pitch first. So you can, hey, you're the sales manager, I can help you with X, Y, and Z. Do you want to have a call? Everyone does that. Everyone hates it. So why the heck does people do it? Because it's easy. It's easy to write up a pitch and just hit send. The second way that you can do it is asking a question. So you can say, hey, I'm curious how you guys do it currently, yada, yada. And then you go into a dialogue, and this needs to be genuine. The problem, though, is that a lot of people are now getting used to getting a question and then immediately getting pitched on the back end or the back of it when you respond. So this is the bait and switch approach that a lot of companies have used and that I've seen come and go since 2016 when I started with it. So the essence here is that you have a third option, and that is lead with value first. And that's what you can see on the screen now. Because if you just knock the door, you get connected, you leave them with the resource, and that's it. You're not pitching. You don't want to get them as a client. You just leave them in value. So it's like knocking on the door, leaving a gift on their porch. If you then follow up with a message like, hey, what's your takeaway? I'm curious, did you learn anything? You're still not pitching. And then if they don't respond to that, you send a third message, which is a second gift on the porch. So a second resource. If you do that, you're not, let's say, pitching. You're not, let's say, really burning the bridge in the sense of, I want to get you as a client now. I want to get you to jump on a call because I want to pitch you. You don't do it that way. You want to lead with a resource, and it's a resource's job to get them interested enough to then book a call. Or if they consume it, you can see what they consumed, you can see what they've done, and that is what's going to guide you in terms of how you follow up. No one does this. And the reason is simple. One, they're thinking, I need to convert people now, and this approach takes time. The second thing is they need to create the resource in the first place, and people are too lazy doing that at all. So I'm also going to go through a bit of the process of how to actually do this and how we do it, and just takes probably like 10 minutes, and the entire process. So this is one for how to do it for outbound. Now, you can also do this for ads. And this is where I went a bit into it, which was you have your resource, you can run your ad to a landing page, and then the resource. If you have, let's say, 10 resources, you posted all 10 on LinkedIn, 3 of them went viral, you're going to put emphasis on those 3. You're not going to do the other 7, because those are likely not going to be performing as well as that initial one. We are running those types of ads now, and we're seeing less than $5 a lead qualified lead from those types of ads, including phone number. So we have the opportunity to feed those to a sales team to then dial up and really churn through and make that build a huge pipeline. And that is just by having context. So context is the most important thing. And that's why Lindsay put emphasis on context is king. Now, I want to be not just telling you guys how to do this, I also want to show you how to do this. And I'm going to build this with you guys now live. So there are two ways. Whoop, that was jumping a bit ahead. So one thing that we've been building for the past, let's say, 6 months, with clients, intimately working with them, building this for them, and doing all this for them, is a tool that we have in-house internally, which is our proprietary tool to actually do this. And you can think of the context. You have context on top, you have your pillars, you have your resources, and then you have your promotional material. So let's say that we want to build something now. So if I want to create something for our company, I can go ahead and say, okay, I want to scrape. I can type it. I can also say it. I want to do research online about bureauventures.com and figure out what they do, what they sell, who they sell to, and turn that into a context node in the canvas so that we can use that to generate the rest of the resources like lead magnets and pillars, ads, and posts. So I just need to change here in terms of adding our actual homepage and then hit send. So the essence here is I'm going to add and use an AI agent to help me do research, figure out, okay, what is this company about? What is our company about? What does the audience say? What does the market say? All of these different things, and then use that to derive the rest of it. So now we already have that context done. Now, based on that context, I want to take it the next step. So I want to then also ask and saying, hey, I want to come up with 3 content pillars for Bureau. So I'm just going to dictate this because I think that's the fastest way of actually doing this. So I want you to take the context about Bureau and then ideate 3 different content pillars that we can use to create lead magnets and the rest of the content that we're now going to build out. I'm going to hit send. So again, the core essence is I can go way more in depth in terms of actually doing research and all of these different things. So now it ended up creating 1. So I'll ask it to create, I'm going to ask it to create 2 more. So create 2 more content pillars. So the thing here is I'm showing you guys how I do this just talking with AI. There are other ways that I can do this. So if I want, I can take any sort of prompt. I can take any sort of system that we already have, and I can go in and say, okay, I want to do some research. And this is the thing that a lot of people, that we've created a ton of prompts and posted about it. Hopefully you found value in the prompts that we've shared. But I can go ahead and say, okay, I want to do research about our audience and find more out about them. And I have a prompt for that. I have a prompt here, which allows me to go really in depth in terms of doing research online. And I can search online to actually find that data. If I have all of the inputs I need, I can simply hit run and I can get even more context about things. I can also ask the AI, okay, how do I actually, what else? Are there any social mentions about Bureau? And I can run this not for just me and our company. I can run this for your company. I can run for your competitors' companies. And I can do this for any sort of company that I want to do this with. Now, it did create 3 pillars. So own lead generation systems, pipeline conversion systems, and lead nurture architecture. So if I want to then take it a step further and say, okay, now I have my pillars. What about lead magnets and resources? So I'm going to, again, easiest to dictate. I want you to ideate 3 individual lead magnets under each of the content pillars that we have. So that means we have 3 content pillars and 3 for each. So we need 9 lead magnet ideas. I did that for me and then added to the canvas and the map. And the thing here is, the first thing you need is that you need your map. You need your context, you need your pillars, you need your resources, and then you can create the other things, which are the promotional resources. And one thing I just want to check is I want you to comment 4 in the chat if, 1, you have a plan or already have lead magnets for a company or resources that you have been using to promote and generate leads. So comment 4 if you already have lead magnets and resources in your marketing. And comment 5 if you've been thinking about it, but you don't have it yet, or if you don't have it at all. Because I'm curious to see, okay, how many of you guys already are on track doing this, and how many of you guys will see immense uptick if you actually get to it. So just looking at the chats. So there are a couple of 4s. So a couple of you guys says that you have it, 4 and 5. Yeah, so it seems like most of you don't really have the lead mindset. Now, the question is, okay, how do you actually go about creating them? And the essence here is you can do them in a lot of different ways. One thing that I just want to show you guys while this is working is I want to show you guys how this could look, because I created a bit of a sample, or I have a sample separate from this that will just highlight this. So here is another map. This is a map where we've drafted more lead magnets and we have some promotional material. So this is actually for another company that is in the space, which is workflows.io, where we have a content pillar and we have a lead magnet, which is written, and it's a long guide including prompts. And for this, we have 2 LinkedIn posts. We have an ad. We have an email that we can expand and read through. We have a page. So we have a landing page, which I can go in and I can edit directly, which is where people can opt in. They can fill out their name and email, and some visual tweaks, and this is going to look stellar. And then I also have a resource page. So basically the full-on guide, which is written, automatically created, some small tweaks in terms of just adding in the visuals for this. And this is also going to look good. Creating this takes me a really short time, and it's going to save us a heck of a lot of time when we actually build this out. And a system like this is what your company needs as a baseline for everything. Now, as it typically is when you demo something, this isn't released. As you can see, this is not the URL you guys can access. This is going to be made publicly available to our clients starting next week. So this is then going to work through. There is another way for me to actually go ahead and come up with ideas for lead magnets, and that is not using the chat, but actually just going through and building this through the canvas itself. So if I want ideas, here I have them. So the own pipeline map, the social signal, the pipeline system, I'm going to add those 2. Now I have those. Next thing is, okay, let me go ahead and create a LinkedIn post. I have predefined templates for how I write the post that I want to write, and I have a default here. And I'm just going to generate the LinkedIn post based on that. At the same time, I want to create my email, and I have predefined here. If I want to create my own style for writing emails, I can just import a style, and I can do it that way, and I can hit generate. And I can just keep on doing this. Okay, I want an ad. Okay, let's just use an evergreen ad. And it's going to then go ahead and draft and generate that for me as well. And it's then now done with a LinkedIn post. And the thing here is that if I want to, I can just simply add an image, and I can hit go schedule, and I can select the time for when this is to be posted on LinkedIn. I can hit generate with AI, and it's going to add in all the details that I need for doing this. Hit schedule, and it's going to be scheduled on LinkedIn. The next thing here is I can go ahead and create a quiz, or I can create a website as soon as the actual content for this is generated. So the core essence here is you want to have your context, because the context is what shapes your content pillars. The content pillars is what you're anchoring all of the guides and resources that you're creating to, so that you have enough proper grounding and foundation to create everything else. So the core thing is get your context right. So with that, I'm going to go out of the canvas because now you've seen the process of doing this. If I want to create a page for this, I can do that. If I want to generate this guide, I can go through and brainstorm with AI on, okay, how do I actually do this? What's the format of it? What's the narrative going to be like? Okay, I want this to be a pipeline build playbook. Okay, I don't really have a defined outline for it yet, so I want to ideate, or I can talk to AI and have it generate an outline based on that. But I think this looks good, so I can keep on going. I can then also have it one-shot the entire guide, or I can ask it to give me questions so that I can really add my teeny tiny nitty-gritty details and taste and flavor to it. And then it's just going to go ahead and write it for me. And here I added the three other ones that the AI chat was working on. So I just spent some time on it. But the essence is you can do so many different things. And asking AI to create this for you, asking AI to do these things, if you go to ChatGPT, you're not going to get this because you don't have the context and you don't have everything visually orchestrated. So it's hard to see, okay, so you have 50 chats. So having a structure and an infrastructure for how you do this is what makes it possible for you to do this without having a huge, huge team. So with that, I'm going to go back to the slideshow again, but I want you to comment 6 in the comment field if you're still following along and all of this makes sense. So context, having something that is repeatable, sharing your expertise, making people trust you through showing your credibility instead of them going to your competitors, getting the information and learning from them instead of you guys. So I see a couple of people are commenting, yeah, number 6. But yes, do you guys see if you have something like this, that you will feel that you're more in control over what type of marketing you do. And if you get the stats and metrics for how each of the things that you're creating performs, that is going to make you have more peace of mind going forward because you know that it's going to compound. Again, comment 6 if all of this makes sense and you're following along. Yeah, so there's a lot of you guys that think this makes sense, so that's good. Then I haven't lost you, which is one of the things that I did hope that I didn't do. So that's good. Measure twice, cut once. So one thing that I now want to do, because we're getting close to the hour, and if you guys have any questions, I would love to hear and see that you send them in the Q&A. So at the bottom there is a Q&A. So you can click that and write up the questions. That could be questions about what we just covered. It could be questions about identifying and figuring the heck out what your pillars is going to be like and stuff like whatever it is. If you have questions, go to Q&A and ask them in there, and we're going to get to them in a bit. So a quick recap. You need something that is repeatable, something that runs by itself. Because the biggest problem is if you are chasing, if you are constantly on a weekly basis, maybe even daily basis, asking yourself, what marketing do I need to do now, or this week, or this month to grow, or to get my next client, or to get the first client, you're stuck on the hamster wheel. You are on this feast and famine cycle that Lindsay showed in the previous slide, and you need to get out. The way you get out is you need to create something based on your expertise, and you need to take that expertise, turn that into this map, which is your content and marketing content. Once you have that, you can use that on LinkedIn. You can use that on your ads. You can use that on email. You can use that for even your cold email if you run that. You can use it across everything. It becomes the beating heart of everything you do. Once you have that map with your content pillars, with your resources, with your promotional material, that's what you drive everything from. And you don't need to reinvent the wheel every single week. And you need to automate the creation process of this. Like if you are to do this manually, which you can do, I still do something parts manually, but I use this system to orchestrate how I do things and in what directions I want to go. Sometimes I just go in, I jump in, I talk with AI about what I want. I ask it to do some research while I'm working on things. And sometimes I even ask it, hey, every morning at 9 a.m., give me a report of 5 ideas for lead magnets that we can go into and give me some, let's say, homework or references and links that I can check out to use as inspiration in my own thought process. And that sends to me every morning at 9 a.m. So all of that happens in the system that I just showed you. So these are the things that you need. Once you have this, what ends up happening is that you as a sole founder, you as a small marketing team or department, you're able to do so much more because you don't need to constantly ask the question, what is it that we do? What is it that we optimize for? You have the beating heart, you have the core. So that's what I wanted to like highlight as the core recap. So again, I'm going to send this link a third time because throughout this webinar, the things that we've shared, so basically the process of identifying your ICP, identifying the research of your ICP, defining your offer, defining your pillars, and defining your lead magnets, we have that in the prompt pack. Also, yeah, I see a couple of you guys are already doing this. So if you comment playbook in the chat, what we're going to do is that tomorrow we're going to go through when we review and do the upload and the replay of this. We're going to see which of you guys commented playbook. We're going to extract it and we're going to send you this on email directly. But if you want to skip that, you want to get this now in less than an hour, you click the link and then you will be able to get it directly. So a lot of you guys have commented playbook. And I'm just sending the link again because so many of you guys are crowding the chat so other people can't get it. So that's good. Now, at this point in time, since we've now been here, you guys have stuck around for 50 minutes, which I truly appreciate. Because again, I love to share. Like since I was in high school, the thing that I've always done is that I've learned things, I've distilled it, and then I've passed it on and shared it. It is some of the things like I really, really enjoy. And a lot of you guys have found that you already find value in this, and that really warms my heart. But there are three options you guys have now. Option one, which I hope none of you actually will go with, is do nothing. You join, okay, it was interesting, and then you just keep on going with your life. I can guarantee you're going to experience these two things. You're going to still be stuck on the hamster wheel of marketing if you're still experiencing that, and you might want to try to choke the life out of your marketing because it's not working. I know how both of these are. Like I started in 2011. These systems that we have today, I didn't have them back then. And as Lindsay said as well, as the lone marketer coming into this consultancy company that had been around for 50 years, that didn't really have any marketing, at least not digitally, it's a pain in the ass of being in that point, and being in that situation, being stuck on that hazard, needing to produce, otherwise things are going to fall. So I know that. I hope and I highly encourage you guys to not do nothing about this. Option two is you can try to do this yourself. So the bonus in terms of the prompts, I hope you use it. So I highly encourage you guys to start actually doing something with this. However, there is a caveat to that. I can, and Lindsay can, in this webinar, we can share our expertise with you guys. We can share you the textbook playbook for how to do things and what to do, but you will not have our experience. Sorry. You will not have our experience on how to do things, how to solve the nuances, how to address it given your particular case. And I worked with almost any and all B2B verticals and industries. B2B, SaaS, service, consulting, law, manufacturing, biotech, defense, like a lot. And there's different ways you need to do this, depending on the industry that you're in. And that is really option three. And that is get us to do this for you and use the system that is already pre-built. So get access to the system that I just showed, which is we're opening up for clients next week. Getting help from us in taking the entire map, building the map with you, the flowchart. How do you do your outbound? Do you even do it? Is it a time waster? Is it the absolute thing you need to do? How do you do your inbound? How do you do your ads? How do you do your emails, retargeting? How do you score your leads? All of those things. And this is where I have a bit of an opportunity to. And that is in the beginning, I told you guys that you would get an opportunity at the end. Sorry, at the end of this webinar. That is what I'm going to present to you now. And that is, I would like to invite you guys for a 30-minute review call with us. That review call is for you to talk with Lindsay and you guys to have a chat for us to figure out what is the current situation in your company. The case there is that we're going to look at, okay, what are you doing? So we're actually going to go to the map. We're going to see what are you doing, understand more about your company, who your target audience is, and give you our recommendation to what you should have in place. And if you match the criteria for the type of company we see us working with, we're going to give you an offer in terms of how we can actually help you. But you're going to leave that call with more clarity so that hopefully you can go with at least option 2 and actually putting this into practice. Or we figure out that this is the right match between the companies of ours, and we can actually do this with you and for you. So this is the opportunity that we want to present. And I'm going to drop the link for that in the chat now. So there is going to be a limited time, limited slots in the calendar. Lindsay is already busy as it is, so she is going to have limited time. But we can also only take on so many clients and companies working with them building this. Yes, AI and the system that we have is accelerating and helping us do this. But the thing that is so important for us, and this is also, you can find this on our website, the number one value we have in Bureau is integrity. And if we take on too many clients and working with too many of you guys, we would love that. We would love to help all of you, but we can't. Because if we do, we can't give each and every one of you the emphasis, the attention, the time that we want so that you can actually get value from it. But down below or now in the chat, you will have a link to the booking calendar so that you can find a time with Lindsay and you guys can go through this. And I highly recommend book a call. Like you're in really good hands because she knows what she's doing. And you're going to go from that call with more clarity. And if we are a good match, we're going to be able to work together. And when you work together, you're working together with me as well, because I'm hands-on with every client case. So that is the opportunity I want to present to you. It's open, it's booking that call. You don't need to commit, but we would like to speak to those that are the most, let's say, that we see the most value in helping. So after you book, you will get the questionnaire that you need to submit, and you can see that on the screen here. So you'll get to this page where you have me in, let's say, very serious face, and below that you have a bit of a questionnaire. Submit that. If you booked a call, submit that questionnaire because that gives us the time and also the data to do our homework to say, okay, what is it that we need to figure out before we have a call. So with that, we are going to move over to the Q&A section of the webinar. So with that, I'm going to leave this on the screen, and I think we can go through. And yeah, Lindsay was very helpful, so that's good to hear. Like that just builds to the testament that you guys are in good hands if you schedule a call with Lindsay. So let us look at the Q&A and see what we got.
You can read some of the ones that came through the chat if you're looking at the Q&A.
Yeah, I'm looking at the chat first because I saw there was a question that came there a bit earlier.
Okay, I'll take the first one from Greg. He addressed to me. Lindsay would love to hear about your experience deploying these tactics across cultures, especially in Asia. So yes, I would say that this approach of having a full system works in Asia as well. What I would say is the key is just making sure that you are offering value. Maybe what you might need to do is change the language depending on where your market is. But that's the key is really just offering value, and that is going to continue to pull them into the system, and you shouldn't have any issue in this approach working in Asia as well.
Yeah, it's The core thing is there are two pieces to this. You have the content side, and then you have the architectural or the infrastructure side. So the content side is derived from your expertise, the thing that you guys are good at. That could be you as a founder, it could also be the company as a whole. The other piece is the infrastructure. And the infrastructure is basically how do you distribute your content? How do you generate the leads? And also how do you handle the leads that you have? So meaning how do you send them emails? How do you run your retargeting? And how do you do your tracking? And also how do you do the conversion from a lead to a meeting? The infrastructure side is the same no matter what. It's you need to have email, you need to have pages, you need to have ads, you need to have tracking, you need to have posting. Those things don't change. How you do them, in what sequence, that is case by case. That is one of the things that we shape out when we work with companies individually. Like, okay, what is the best approach for your company specifically? It's like some people prefer like it's in like some people trigger or are engaged in certain things. Like we have all different interests. Like I love learning. I'm an AI geek, so you can see it from a mile away. But I really don't lie. I'm horrible at dancing, for example. So I'm more engaged with if you talk up to AI with me, like we can speak for hours. It's the same thing. Content is different. How you implement it is also different. Um, so let's see. Uh, uh, uh. Let's go through the Q&A now because I just scrolled through the chat and I couldn't find anything else. So we had a question whether um, the recording would be made. Yes, we're going to send out the recording tomorrow after we've done some processing on it. So that answers that question. We got a question from Doric in the very beginning. Have you tried use synthetic user research? If so, how did it perform for you? Actually, Doric, one thing that we built is we built a synthetic market survey research system that is using things that no other company really do. And what we found from it was you're able to identify what type of versions of marketing, of posts, of ads, of landing pages, of marketing copy that you want to run with. So if you have different marketing campaign ideas, you can identify that. Or if you have, let's say, 5 versions of a campaign, you can figure out which ones you should start with or lead with. But again, the case here is that figuring out the synthetic user research, that is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and there's so much money going into the research labs to just crack that code. How reliable it is right now, that's uncertain, but it is something that is really interesting to look at. We are using the engine that we built for that to feed that into the canvas and visual that you saw to autonomously take the data from the post that we posted, get the data and feed that back into a reinforcement loop to then use synthetic data to then further optimize it. You have Marcel, what if my offer is not strong or not good enough? There are a couple of things here in terms of offer. The core essence is any offer can work because an offer is just a packaging of what you help someone do and how you do that. The offer might need to have some tweaking, but the core thing is an expertise or a way of solving a problem that lies behind the offer. And that is what shapes everything. So that is the expertise that defines the pillars. That is also what defines the lead magnets and all of the content that you use and build into the entire engine. So you can run this even if your offer isn't strong because it's not the offer that you derive things from. It's the core thing that you have of expertise of how to solve something. Let's see. So we have Philip asking the question, how do you ensure that what you produce retains its human touch, adding a highly detailed tone of voice in the prompt? Question mark. So yes. So Philip, the one thing that we have that I actually didn't show in the canvas, let me see if I can actually show that because that is one piece that is definitely of interest. And that is under a contact pillar, I can define a writing voice. And the key thing here is that a writing voice can derive the way, like really dissect how you write. So if you have a video, transcribe it, boom, smack that in. It's going to dissect how you actually speak and how you communicate. Or if you have a long written piece of content, smack that in and it's going to dissect that. That is going to be the guiding writing style and tone of voice that is going to be used for everything else. So that is one of the ways that we address the tone of voice. Yusuf, free tools on our website. Can this be considered a resource? Absolutely. We have free tools that you can access on our website. We've used those as lead magnets and resources. So if you go to our homepage, so basically bureauventures.com, you have a link in the menu called resources. If you scroll a bit down, you have tools. You can use those. So yes, you can. So Philip, images and visuals are often the trickiest part. Canva is a great tool, but you often find yourself stuck with combinations of background colors, fonts, and so on. So stuck on images that aren't quite tailored to the platform. Any tips on this? The core thing in terms of visuals is what do you want to use the visuals for? So there are visuals in the resource itself. You have visuals for the LinkedIn post. You have visuals for the ad. So visual for the LinkedIn post and the ad. The simplest way of doing those is actually having a screenshot or a scrolling GIF of the guide itself. That's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is that we built a internal tool that is not in the platform, but it's more separate, that we use to create mock-ups of illustrations. You can have AI do this, but it's a bit more, let's say, techie of it. You can also use really, really elaborate prompts for using, or in ChatGPT or in Gemini for Nano Banana to draft and generate images. That is a bit of a slippery slope, and it's more technically advanced than just writing prompts and having drafting content. So the question here is a bit on when it comes to creating content and visuals, figure out a workflow that works for you. That is ultimately the thing. Like I personally, I can mock up something fairly quickly in some sort of graph like the flowchart that Lindsay showed you guys. And I can have a video and just speak on it. That is one way that is really easy for me. Another easy is I can just type out. I can write out a 10,000 word guide in a matter of a day and just lock myself in, put on my earbuds, and just pack on music and then get that. So that's my flow. You need to find your flow as well, but you can empower it with AI. But this is where you can change it up. So it depends a bit on what you want to achieve and what type of visual that you're looking for. I see that there are more messages in the chat, Lindsay. Anything that we should look at there?
There was one question. Let's see if I can find it. It was, oh yes. Ashram asked, would this solution work for companies that are providing tech solutions which have a complex buying process?
Recently, I can't recall which say company was that released this. I think it was one of the research and marketing analysis companies that said 81% of the buying process of any sophisticated B2B product, so basically products sold to companies, 81% of the buying process was not sales, it was marketing, meaning it was content, pages, research that the buyer did before they even spoke to your company. So yes, this is going to work especially good for those types of products. And one of the other reasons for that is that if you have a really, really complex buying process, what that usually means is you're selling to not a huge, huge audience. You maybe have a couple of thousand companies, max 10,000 companies in your entire market. And if you have that, this is going to work even better, because the question is, you have two scenarios. You have scenario one, which is you have 500,000 different companies that you can sell to. So your audience is huge. The other one is you have 5,000. Getting all of those 5,000 to become leads with your marketing, either through reaching outbound or by posting and engaging with people, that is going to take you far shorter time. Once you have hit all of those 5,000, you are basically exposing your entire market to your marketing every single week and month. That is going to compound and going to have an accelerated effect on the sales process that is otherwise really complex. So yes, it's going to work actually. Anything else?
Mm, I think that was it from the chat.
All right. So I see we still have a couple more questions in the Q&A. So someone asked how to define context properly to create content. I think we kind of covered it. I'm going to drop the link to the bonus where you can have the prompt that can help you with that. But in the essence, it is you need to define your ICP segments. So basically, who are the or what are the segments of the types of companies and the types of decision makers that you have as an audience. Second, you need to have a really in-depth research and data about every single one of them in terms of knowing what they're thinking, the problems, their daily life, what keeps them up at night, all of these things. You then also need the definition about your offer. So what it is that you actually do. What is the job that it do? What is the outcome? What's the pain that it addresses? How does it do it? What's the mechanisms of it? All of those things. In the link that I shared now, which is the bonus that you can get with the prompts that can help you do it, that is going to help you map out these things. Now, there are other things you can add to this as well. So it's like a multi-layered cake. You can add your right tone of voice, your writing style to it, so that you can shape it based on that. You can add in your existing marketing material to see if that can shape the content pillars and the rest of your content. You can have your sales conversations. So if you have a lot of sales conversations, like this is what we do regularly, is we take all of the conversations that we've had and we, based on that, identify what are the recurring pain points that come up in conversations with clients. And also what are the recurring desires and goals that come up. And we use that as context to populate the context base that we use to derive everything else. So hopefully that answered the question. And hopefully you're still on the webinar. Rebecca asked the question. So this approach works for all types of sales, B2B, B2C, niche, target enterprise deals, SaaS, etc. Or is it specifically strong for one type? I would say, Rebecca, that this is primarily B2B. However, there is a different version that works for B2C, depending on what type of B2C we're talking about. So for us to really give recommendation on a B2C case, we would need to actually learn more about that case. But in essence, if you're targeting enterprise, if you're selling SaaS, if you're selling consulting, agency, service, anything of those categories, yes, this is going to work. Because the key thing here is when you're looking at the marketing strategy, there's a couple of things that you need to think of. And now we're taking a step back and thinking first principles. You need a way to find them, those that you need to talk to and sell. You need a way to reach them, because finding them doesn't mean that you're going to reach them. You need to have something that is valuable to them. And if you keep showing up with something that is valuable, it's going to end up converting to a conversation. That's it. If you tick those three boxes, it's going to work. Even if it's enterprise, if it's you're selling to solopreneurs, that you're selling to mid-sized companies, SaaS companies, whatever it is, it's going to work if you tick those three boxes. People overcomplicate, and you can make this as complicated as you want, but those are the fundamental three things you need. Find them, reach them, have something of interest, and then the rest does its job. Sasha asked, do I run the process every day I want to post and then post setup manually, except post scheduling? I see this there. Or do you set up the pillars and content is created and scheduled automatically? That is one thing that we're adding as the process to this, Sasha, and that is within the canvas that you saw and I showed, it has automatic scheduling built in using the AI as well. So it can then look at the content calendar. You can see, okay, what times has been scheduled, what posts have been posted, the data for them, and then schedule new posts accordingly. What it's going to turn into before summer is that every morning, every Monday, let's say, you can have the AI then do research on everything that you posted, all of your emails, all of the engagement, all of the leads that you have, all of the comments someone have posted on a LinkedIn post, and then it's going to aggregate all of that, give you a report, and give you the top, mid, and low recommend let's say priority and recommendations for what to do. And then you can go ahead and do it manually, or you can hit approve, and it's going to do those things for you. That could be generate new lead magnets, create new posts for them, create a lead magnet that really performed well, create a new post for it based on the best performer, and then schedule that on LinkedIn. So it's going to be able to do all of those things. And that is the next upcoming thing that we're going to add in to this so that you can have a, let's say, autonomous go-to-market operator in your company running on this system. So we have someone that is still anonymous. How do we get access to this tool if we want to do it ourselves? You would need to speak to us. As I mentioned, we don't sell any software off the rack that you can go to a website and buy now. What I showed earlier is the proprietary internal tool that we use with clients. However, we are all going to open this up at one point, but if you want to use it, we would need to speak to you in the first place. So on the screen, you have the link to book a call. Just to ensure that you guys have that, I'm going to send the link to schedule a call with Lindsay again in the chat. And yeah, Shruti also how to access the canvas. Again, schedule a call with us or reach out, and we're going to figure out how we can actually do that. Because currently it's just for clients that we work with doing this for them. Ranesh, what if my interest is the AI orchestration product? Do you have a white label solution? Currently, we don't have a white label solution, but you're not the first one that has asked about it. That is something that we have in the roadmap to look at before summer, because there have been companies and several people at this point that has asked about, okay, I want to use this on behalf of my clients, for my clients, or even sell it for myself. So that is something that we are looking at. But if you're interested to hear more about that, what I recommend is I'm going to drop my email in the chat. So if you want to learn more about white labeling or getting access to it or these types of things, you can also just hit me up on email and we can have a separate discussions about that. So Greg asks, is it possible to use this tool to generate leads? What do we say about that, Lindsay? If it's possible to use the tool to
Yes,
generate
the
leads?
answer is yes.
Yes, Greg, it's possible. The question is how you generate the leads. And you need something to give or lead with to generate the leads in the first place. To give you guys context, in 2025, what we did in Bureau was that we created about 150, 160 resources. 30 of them were a part of a Christmas calendar. So we basically did one for every single day. And then we also created a bunch of other ones. Those resources that we've built up until this point, we've only posted about them on LinkedIn. Currently, we're generating more than 1,000 inbound leads that opt in with name, email, and phone number a month. I think that now in the last 30 days, it's like 1,400 every single month. And that's leads just coming our way. So that is testament to the effect of compounding this over time if you do it right. So yes, it will generate leads. Laura, you asked a question in terms of how this sit with existing systems. So you've named LinkedIn outreach for sure, biggest thing I learned from you. So I appreciate that you learned that. So that's good. The question was, how does this work in parallel with existing marketing systems like SFDC, HubSpot? How does one manage the CRM one side of things? And is this primarily outbound? No, this is definitely not outbound. So the orchestration and the canvas that we showed, that is basically the beating heart of the joint team content creation process. The thing here is that on the back end of that sits a database and also sits an email system. So we use Encharge for email, and that has a native integration to HubSpot so that you sync it back and forth automatically. We always use Encharge, and the reason for it is that it has a built-in functionality designed for the function of what you need to have in your retargeting, syncing, and tagging that you otherwise can't really do with the same ease inside of other systems like, let's say, HubSpot and do it natively in HubSpot. So it is meant for outbound, it's meant for inbound, and it's meant for just generally have your websites, have your landing pages, have your resource pages, have quizzes to generate leads. There's a lot of things in it. And it's meant to be this one-stop shop for autonomous go-to-market engine and systems. So you set it up, you turn the AI on, and it can work on the schedule. If you have new ideas, just feed it to it, and it's going to add that to its schedule. So if you guys have heard and used Claude Code, if you use OpenClaw, which previously was ClaudeBot, or if you use Hermes, if you're really, really niche, basically the canvas with the AI orchestrator in there can do all of the things that those can in terms of creating the things inside of the canvas. So it's basically Claude Code without the terminal, Claude Cowork without the infinite chats, and OpenClaw with the infinite chats as well in a visual, intuitive UI. That's what it's supposed to be. Now we don't have many left. So Nils, how does this link into auto creative development for various content deliverables like key visuals, etc.? So I think I briefly described this previously. Someone asked it a bit differently. We have a bit of our own process for that, because that's what shapes the way we do it. However, one thing that we have on the ideation map for the canvas and the orchestrator is looking at how we can build visual images be part of the platform itself. So if you have a lead magnet, if you have a post, one click and we'll have a visual for it. That is something that is not there now. It is a bit of the tricky part, but yes, the visual is one of the challenges. You can build this into other systems and build on top of it, but that is one of the pieces now that is not really super addressed in at least the demo and the process that I showed you guys. Philip again. Like Philip, I love that you have a lot of questions. That's what I want you guys to have. So, Philip, does the system use our input for training purposes, or can this feature be disabled? We prefer not to have any confidential information falling into the wrong hands. Where's the data stored, and is everything GDPR compliant? We don't train anything on the data of users that use the platform. Right? We don't do that. And everything you feed into it, that's not stored either. So the key thing here is we are like in cases where you don't want to have any tracing, that is something that we can sort. Again, as mentioned, this is something that we're releasing to our clients next week. So it's fairly early already in terms of this. And we built this slowly in the past 7, 8 months and been an internal tool that we've used to empower working with clients. But now it's going to be more than just that. So in the sense of GDPR compliancy, yes, it's there. And there are ways for us to rig this and structure this in a way where there is no question about data storage and these types of things. For example, one of the things that we do is that we have a lot of the data stored and set up on servers of our clients, and they connect that to the platform. So there are ways of doing this, Philip. So hopefully that answers your question. So with that, I think we got through the list. So yeah, but we still have a bunch of you guys still sticking around. So we're now at 1 hour and 23 minutes. Do you have anything that you want to, let's say, share on your end, Lindsay, in terms of things that you've seen? Because you talked to a lot of companies in the last month.
Right. I think I'll just share a piece of the philosophy, which, I got this question, which was, well, I need to wait for the system because I'm doing SEO. I'm building up my website. And the point with this system is you're driving them from multiple points. You're driving them from LinkedIn, outbound, LinkedIn, inbound. You have your email nurturing with the leads. So it's not dependent on the website. Yes, I still think that SEO is one component, but it's not dependent to drive all traffic through the website and that be the place that they need to land. So I think, the principle is that things have changed and this infrastructure isn't dependent on that to work and to drive traffic. And it's just another opportunity here for you to drive leads in another manner and be more effective in the repeatable process too. Because just like Google's algorithm can change any day point in time, so SEO doesn't last uh, for weeks or years. It's just forever long. Google decides to keep, or the top search engine decides to keep that algorithm.
Yeah. One thing to that as well is this has changed a lot in terms of you have the term programmatic SEO, where and now especially with AI, what a lot of companies also have done is that they have, let's say, used Claude Code or Cursor or something similar to create, let's say, 100,000 pages that are all ranking for different keywords and just flooding the web with that. And that has also completely changed the profile of how SEO works, because they've shut down things like backlinks and internal linking and on-site SEO, technical SEO, you have all of these things. So SEO has changed, and relying on that alone is not necessarily the best, also because it takes time. And it's the same thing in, let's say, ranking in the LLMs and the search engines. You're at their mercy. So the key thing that you actually want to do is that you want to have these resources so that people can opt in. You can have them on email. As soon as you have someone on email, you own that. No one can take it away from you. So it's spot on what Lindsay says in terms of you can do things at the same time. And again, going back to you have three options now. You can go off this webinar and say, okay, this was nice and fun and all that, and just do nothing. You can try to do this yourself, which I highly, highly encourage, or you can schedule a call with us to give get our recommendations of what you should do. And that is what I recommend. So I think that really is it. Like 24 of you guys are still sticking around, so I'm not sure what you guys are still here for. If you don't have questions, there's like we've covered everything at this point. But we appreciate you sticking around, that you stayed on. But we've reached the end of this session. And we really want to say thank you for joining. If there's anything more that you are looking for us to go more into, want to learn more about in the next webinar or live masterclass that we're gonna host, I really want you to let us know, because then we can shape it to your need. So if you want to talk more about outbound, if you want to talk about inbound, if you don't want to talk about resource creation, whatever it is, we would love to hear from you in terms of what you're looking for and what would help you. Aside from that, I think we can really then do this, which is stop share. You can see both of us. I'm going to say thank you so much for showing up. Hope you found this to be valuable and learned something. We wish you a great rest of your day and have a great week. Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.